Hello, it's Simon here, and in this video, I'm going to share with you what I believe is the best strategy for 2021. How do I know? Well, I've been investing in property for 25 years. I'm the founder of the Property Investors Network. I'm the author of Property Manager, the Amazon #1 property bestseller, and I helped thousands of investors like you to become successful investors. Now, what is the best strategy for 2021? There are so many different investing strategies out there. Sometimes it's a bit confusing and people get overwhelmed and they don't know what they should be doing. So there's a couple of things we need to consider. So when thinking about the best property investing strategy, you need to think about what's happening in the property market, and you need to think about what do you want to achieve, and you need to think about what are the resources that you have available to reach those goals. So first of all, let's talk about the property market. So we've seen the property market absolutely boom over the last 10 years, and I think most people believe the property market is going to crash in 2021. What does that mean? Should you wait until we hit the bottom? No, don't do that. As long as you know what you're doing, pick up properties right now, make sure it's a great location, make sure you can get great cash flow from it. And if you're holding for long term, it doesn't matter if you buy something now and then 6 months later, it's worth a little less because you're waiting for the long term. And in the UK, over the long term, property prices rise. Why does that happen? Because we live on a little island. It's a very popular place to live. We have an increasing population due to increasing birth rates and longer life expectancy. And so over the long term, property prices go up because we don't have enough supply. In the UK, the government say we need about 300,000 properties every year. We're very good as a country at building 200,000, so it's just not enough. That's why long-term property prices go up. But we've had this property boom for the last 10 years. And when you have a boom, it's followed by a bust. Given what's happened in 2020 with the pandemic and the recession, we're going to see property prices come down in 2021. The UK government's doing everything they can to stop that, to try and prop up prices, like the stamp duty holiday, which has come in and it's in place until March 2021. I'd not be surprised if it's going to be extended longer than that. So let's look at the market first of all. The market might be coming down. If you are already investing, what you've been doing over the last 10 years may or may not be the best strategy to use moving forward, because it's going to be different market conditions. It might be time to learn a new strategy. The next thing is we need to look at what do you want to achieve as a property investor to help work out what is the best strategy for you in 2021. Well, most investors that I meet, they want to get cash flow. They want to get income coming in that is separate from what they make in their job or what they make in their business. I think one of the lessons from 2020 pandemic is that, you know what, if you have one income stream, you're in a very dangerous place. You might have a great job or a successful business. Something can happen and wipe that income stream out, as we saw happen, unfortunately, for many people in 2020. So having multiple income streams is really important. Having that cash coming in is a fundamental thing that you need to do as a property investor. Of course, we want to own property as well for the long-term growth, but income is probably the most important thing. Now, what are the resources available to you? If you're going to be buying investment properties, obviously you need to be able to get deposits money to buy those properties. In the UK, typically put in a 25% deposit, and we borrow 75% as a buy-to-let mortgage from a mortgage company. And the idea is we rent that property out. The rental income that comes in not only covers the cost of that borrowing of the 75%, it covers the insurance, the maintenance, the management. So each property gives you excess cash. Extra cash flow that you can put in your pocket. Now, obviously we do pay tax on property income, and the way we tax has been changed, but there are ways of minimizing your tax that I talk about in other videos on this YouTube channel. So buying a property depends on your ability to get deposits and also your ability to get mortgages. Now, going back to what's happening in the property market, if the property market's coming down, what happened the last time in the 2009-2010 property crash was that actually it was very difficult to get finance. It was very difficult to buy properties, even if you had the deposit and wanted to buy. Why was that the case? Well, mortgage companies, obviously in the last crash were hit because of the global financial crisis. They were worried about lending to property. They reduced the amount they were prepared to lend. In some cases, stopped lending altogether because they had so much exposure to property that had come down in value. So I think the lessons from last time, lenders will be very cautious when the market starts to come down. So even if you want to buy and you find a really good investment, it might be difficult for you to do so. Not just for you, but every investor in the market. So that means we need to look at what are the appropriate strategies to be using given the market conditions, given what you want to achieve, and also your personal resources that you can use. So there is a strategy, and I call it a strategy. Actually, it's more like a tool because it's a tool which you can use in conjunction with every other strategy in the market. This tool I'm about to share with you that I believe is probably the best strategy for 2021 is something that can be used in conjunction with single let properties. It can be used in conjunction with HMOs. It can be used in conjunction with serviced accommodation. It can be used in conjunction with commercial property, commercial to residential conversion, property flips. Pretty much every strategy you want to use, you can use these tools. And these two particular tools I think are going to be the best tools for 2021 are called purchase options and purchase lease options. They're very similar, but there is a key difference. So a purchase option is where you have the right to buy a property at some time in the future. Now, why and when would you use that? Well, let's say you find a property that is a cash-only purchase. Properties are often listed as cash only because there's a problem with the property. It's probably not mortgageable. Therefore, only people with cash can buy them. The reality is very often you can fix that problem. And so if you control the property on an option, the right to buy it in the future, you then fix the problem, it then becomes mortgageable and you can then buy the property, but you're buying at a cash price, which is very advantageous for you. The other way you use the purchase option is maybe you find a piece of land or a building and you want to convert it into something else. You might need to get planning permission to do that. Instead of buying and having the risk of not getting planning, you control it on an option, you then get the planning in place, then you buy the property. This is how all land development is done. All of the big developers, they buy land on option, they get the right to buy it once they get the planning permission in place. So that's a purchase option. A purchase lease option is very, very similar, but you just have the extra lease element. So you've got the right to buy this property at a fixed price within a certain period of time, but also you pay a monthly option fee to the owner, and then you get to use that property. Now this means you can control property that you don't own, and you can take it on, you can rent it out to some tenants, and the idea is what you charge the tenants is more than what you pay the landlord, so you make a profit on the difference. So you charge tenants a certain amount, you pay the landlord less, and the difference is your profit that you make every single month. So in other words, you can make profit, you can make cash flow on property you don't actually own. It stays in the name of the owner, and they still have a mortgage on it, or maybe not, but you babysit that mortgage for them, you make the payments for them, you look after the property as if you've purchased it. But because you haven't actually bought it yet, you don't need a 25% deposit and you don't need to be able to get mortgages. Now, as we see the property market come down and sellers are struggling to sell their properties, they might be happy to rent them out whilst they're waiting to sell. And that is exactly what we're doing with a purchase lease option. We're effectively renting the property with the right to buy it at some time in the future. This is why I believe purchase options and purchase lease options are going to be the perfect strategy for the 2021 market. If the market comes down, as I believe and many other property investors believe is going to happen, it's going to be the ability for us to find people who need to sell and help solve their problem. It's a fantastic strategy. Now, I've actually got some live online training that explains exactly how you can implement this purchase option and purchase lease option strategy within your property investing. If you look in the link below this video, you have to come and register for this live training. And I highly recommend you do that because the benefit of live training as opposed to watching videos is you could ask questions and get all the answers to your questions. If you don't have any questions, you could read other people's questions and hear the answers to those. So by coming on live training, you get an exponential increase in your knowledge rather than just watching videos, which are great, but obviously they're only two-dimensional. So come and register for the live training. Now, Just to recap what we talked about in this video, when you're looking at what's the best strategy for you and what's the best strategy for 2021, we need to look at what's happening in the market, we need to look at what do you want to achieve, and also we need to look at your personal resources. We've talked about the market coming down in 2020, we've talked about most people wanting to get cash flow and equity growth from their property, and we've talked about you need to look at your resources. Are you able to put deposit in? Can you get mortgages? Purchase these options, and purchase options solve all of these problems, and this is why these are the perfect strategies to be using in the property market 2021. I do hope you can come and join me for some further training all about how you can use these strategies. In the meantime, if you like the video, please like it. Please subscribe to the channel to make sure you get all of these videos. We produce lots of free content for you, and also comment below and we'll come and answer some of your questions. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Remember to invest with knowledge, invest with skill. If you enjoyed this video, you should definitely check out this next video that I've lined up for you. And also click on the link below to come and join me for some live online training all about how you can use purchase lease options and purchase options in your property investing. Because it's live training, you can actually ask me any questions you've got about these incredibly powerful investing tools. So click on the link, book the training right now.